Hi friends, welcome to Beautifully Bookish Bethany. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about my most anticipated reads for 2022 in the genres of mystery, thriller, and horror. This is one of 4 most anticipated videos that I'm putting up. If you haven't seen them yet, I will link the others up above. I've put up a video of my most anticipated adult science fiction and fantasy titles. I also put up a video about my most anticipated romance titles, and there will be a video coming with my most anticipated YA sci-fi fantasy titles. But in today's video, we're going to be talking about mystery, thriller, and horror, which I feel like group well together. These are the books I'm most looking forward to. I've got quite a lot of books on this list, and you should know this is a mix of adult and YA. I will let you know when a title is YA. Otherwise, you can assume it's targeted at an adult audience. This video is going to be organized chronologically by release date, but realize that these release dates are subject to change. It is possible that they could get pushed back or up or moved by the publisher, but as of the filming of this video, this is the best information I have as to these release dates. January 18th, we're getting Real Easy by Marie Rutkowski. I'm really interested to pick this up. You might be familiar with Marie Rutkowski as the author of the YA fantasy series, A Winter's Curse trilogy, and a more recent duology set in the same world, but this is her adult debut, and it is a thriller. It says it's a compulsive, tenacious, unexpectedly hopeful thriller set in a Midwestern strip club, told in the spirit of Gillian Flynn and Tana French. It's set in 1999, and one that I'm definitely intrigued to read. Coming out January 25th is a YA historical mystery. This is The Red Palace by June Her. It's set in 1750s Korea, and it's a murder mystery involving court politics. I've been really excited to read something from June Her. I've been hearing really good things about her books. She writes mysteries set in different historical time periods of Korea, and this one looks very interesting. February has 3 releases I'm interested in. February 1st, we're getting A Lullaby for Witches by Hester Fox. Hester Fox has previously written more like gothic romances, but the description of this book sounds more like a true mystery with some paranormal elements. It's a dual timeline set in New England, following a woman called a witch and a woman living 150 years later who begins working at a house that has been turned into a small museum. While there, she begins investigating a daughter that was nearly expunged from the historical records of the family that owned the house. But as she uncovers more information, something sinister unfurls, and there's some kind of a dark power. So her books usually have some kind of a paranormal twist to them, and this one sounds like it will as well. Also coming out February 1st is The Violence by Delilah S. Dawson. This sounded interesting. There's a mysterious plague that causes random bouts of violence that's sweeping the nation. 3 generations of women must navigate their chilling new reality in this moving exploration of identity, cycles of abuse, and hope. Definitely intrigued by this one. The premise sounds pretty interesting. Lastly, for February on the 22nd, we're getting Tripping Arcadia by Kit Mayquist. This one is a queer modern gothic about secrets, lies, and the darkness that opulence can hide. It sounds so up my alley. I really want to get my hands on this one. In this book, a med school dropout takes a bizarre and mysterious job for an elite family, and it's a book that explores family, legacy, and inheritance, said to be perfect for fans of Mexican Gothic, of which I am one, so yeah, really want to get my hands on this one. March has several exciting releases, beginning with a YA thriller coming out March 1st. This is This Golden State by Merritt Weisenberg. It says it's a propulsive breakout novel following a family on the run, a restless teenage daughter hungry for the truth, and the simple DNA test that threatens their carefully crafted world. So it's interesting. It follows a teen girl whose family has been on the run her whole life, but she doesn't know why, and those secrets start to get uncovered. I have read from Merritt Weisenberg in the past and have enjoyed her writing, so I'm excited to try this one. Coming out March 3rd is This Might Hurt by Stephanie Roble. This one is about 2 sisters, one of whom is trapped in the clutches of a cult, and the other one in a web of her own lies. I am really intrigued by this. I think the cult is set on an island where you're supposed to like disconnect from the rest of the world. I always like cult stories, and this one sounds really interesting. March 15th, we're getting a new book from Simone St. James, which is exciting. She's a great writer. This one is called The Book of Cold Cases. It's a dual timeline story set in 1977 and 2017 Oregon. It follows a true crime blogger who gets more than she bargained for while interviewing the woman acquitted of 2 cold case slayings. Definitely going to be checking this one out. March 22nd, we have The Bone Orchard by Sarah Mueller. This is another win for a great cover. It's a debut novel. It says, "Welcome to Orchard House, where the wealthy and influential men of Beauregard come to dine, drink, play cards, and talk politics. It's where they come to visit with Mistress Charm and those birthed from the fruit of an orchard of bone trees grown in vats made to serve her and the needs of her guests. But Mistress Charm herself is bound, a mind lock implanted in her skull to harness her power and ensure her obedience. Now the very emperor who destroyed her people and bound her to his will promises her freedom, if she can solve a murder, his own. Lying on his deathbed, he gives her one last command, discover which of his sons betrayed him and plotted his death." Sounds really interesting and kind of messed up, but I'm excited to try it. The last book I have coming out in March is coming out on the 29th. This is The Resting Place by Camilla Sten, author of The Lost Village. It's been translated from Swedish and getting published in translation in English, and it sounds really interesting. It says it's a heart-thumping tale of deep-rooted secrets, a twisted family history, and a house that will never let you go. This one follows a character who walks in on her grandmother's murder, but she has face blindness and doesn't necessarily know who the killer is, so it sounds really eerie, but very interesting. I've got 2 books coming out in April that I'm interested in. April 12th, we have And Then I Woke Up by Malcolm Devlin. This one is a literary horror novella in the tradition of Myra Grant and Stephen Graham Jones, a story about false narratives and their ability to divide us, what's truth and what's not. Sounds really interesting. It's kind of a scathing social commentary. I'm intrigued. Then April 26th is The Children on the Hill by Jennifer McMahon. This is a novel inspired by Frankenstein, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, which is very interesting, that explores the eerie mysteries of childhood and the evils perpetrated by monsters among us. It's another dual timeline narrative. I'm very interested in the premise of this one. We've got several books coming out in May, including some YA books. May 3rd, we're getting The Honeys by Ryan LaSala. This is a queer YA horror novel. I've really enjoyed Ryan LaSala's books in the past, but this is his first more horror story. It says it's a twisted and tantalizing horror novel set amidst the bucolic splendor of a secluded summer retreat. It follows a gender-fluid teen investigating their twin sister's death, and it's possible that the death could be connected to her summer friend group. Very interesting. May 10th, we're getting a debut novel that looks pretty intriguing. This is The Hacienda by Isabel Cañas. It's being pitched as Mexican Gothic meets Rebecca in this debut supernatural suspense novel set in the aftermath of the Mexican War of Independence about a remote house, a sinister haunting, and the woman pulled into their clutches. Very intrigued by that premise. May 24th, we have Primal Animals by Julia Lynn Rubin. This is a queer YA horror/thriller. It's set at a college prep summer camp, so the summer before college, and the main character has a crush on one of her bunkmates, but people won't talk to her and things are really weird. She has this growing paranoia, and then she's invited to join a strange secret society that asks her to do dangerous things. Very interested in this. Last one for May is another YA release, and I'm so excited for this. I have been waiting for another release from this author. This is Summer's Edge by Dana Melly. I adored her debut novel. It didn't get a ton of buzz, but it was very, very good. This is a queer YA thriller that's being pitched as I Know What You Did Last Summer meets The Haunting of Hill House. Eerie teen thriller following an estranged group of friends being haunted by their friend who died the previous summer. I feel like this is going to be great because, again, I have been waiting for another book from her. It should be fun. I've got one release for June. This is Our Crooked Hearts by Melissa Albert. It's another YA, and this one is kind of a dark fantasy horror blend, but it feels like it's leaning more into the dark kind of horror side, so I'm putting it on this list instead of the fantasy list. It says it's about secrets, lies, super bad choices, and witchcraft, and it involves secrets between a mother and daughter. Very interested. I really loved The Hazelwood by Melissa Albert, and I think she does a great job with dark atmospheric writing, so I'm hopeful this will be good. Several books coming out in July. First up on July 12th, there's How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix. I've enjoyed books by him in the past. This looks interesting. It says it explores the way your past and your family can haunt you like nothing else. Oh wow, like 4 of these are coming out all on the same day. So like, apparently July 12th is a big day for these. First, we've got The It Girl by Ruth Ware. We're finally getting another Ruth Ware book, and this one is a mystery following a woman on the search for answers a decade after her friend's murder. Then we've got What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher. This is interesting. It's a retelling of Edgar Allan Poe's classic, The Fall of the House of Usher, and based on reading the description, I think we might be getting a non-binary main character, so very interested in that. Finally, also coming out on July 12th is They Drown Our Daughters by Katrina Monroe. This is another debut novel said to be good for fans of Jennifer McMahon and Sylvia Moreno Garcia. It follows a woman who returns to her possibly haunted seaside hometown right before she gets a divorce, bringing her young daughter along with her. She's caring for her mother who has Alzheimer's, who is convinced that the stories are real and that something is trying to claim every woman in their line as it has for generations. Lastly, for July on the 19th, we're getting Just Like Home by Sarah Gailey. This one follows the daughter of a serial killer whose mother asks her to come home and live with her. So she returns to her childhood home, the house where her father had buried bodies, to live with her mom, but weird things are going on. They have someone living in the back house who I think is an artist, and there's weird notes being left. It sounds creepy and intriguing. Finally, I've got 2 books coming out in August on my radar. August 2nd, we're getting Don't Fear the Reaper by Stephen Graham Jones. This is a follow-up to My Heart is a Chainsaw, which I loved this year, and it sounds interesting. Jade, the main character from book 1, is returning to her hometown 4 years after the events of book 1, after having been released from prison when her conviction is overturned. But then, a convicted serial killer escapes during a prison transfer and is seeking revenge on some things. It looks interesting, so definitely will be reading that one. Then coming out on October 9th is These Fleeting Shadows by Kate Alice Marshall. This is a queer YA supernatural mystery called The Haunting of Hill House meets Knives Out, where a girl inherits her ancestral home only to discover that a dark presence lurks within it and within herself. So yeah, all of those look amazing. Anything that is currently up for pre-order will be linked in the video description down below, so add them to your Goodreads, pre-order them if you're interested, and go check them out. I will probably be picking a lot of these up myself. I'm very excited for them. Talk to me in the comments down below. Let me know any of your thoughts or feelings on anything I talked about in this video. And for your question of the day, tell me what is one of your most anticipated releases in one of these genres, mystery, thriller, horror. What are you most looking forward to in the new year? Let me know in the comments down below. If you guys like this video, it helps if you give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to see more. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you next time.